Hey everyone, welcome back to the IHC Craft Room. Today is live number 9 of the Fabulous Fall series, and we're going to be dot painting these super moody Dramatico pumpkins onto a piece of tree trunk slice, or I like to call it like a wood slice, but these are so funky. I got this from Dollarama here in Canada for $2. I buy them all the time. I actually use both sides most of the time. And I love them. So if you find any, grab one up because they're a lot of fun. But if not, you can use pretty much any other surface you want to do this project today if you don't have one of these handy, okay? Now, I did prepare my wood slice already ahead of time. Normally, I paint a base coat color of some kind. Generally, I will use like a chalk paint. But I wanted to do this directly onto the wood today with no background color because I want these pumpkins to kind of like stand alone. So if you would like to dot along with me today, I've created a free downloadable that's available in a link in the description. So check that out. And you can download that and do this exact same project with me. So the plan is I'm going to transfer this image onto this wood round. I'm hopeful I'll be able to see chalk. I probably won't though. I'm going to probably test that before I even try. If the chalk pencil doesn't work and I can't see it against the wood grain, then I will switch to a regular pencil, like a number 2 graphite pencil, and we'll use that instead. I'm going to walk you through every step. And the first step is the most important in my opinion, which is protecting the base of your image. Normally, we'd have a base coat of paint, as I said earlier, and then we would cover that base coat of paint with varnish because you wanted to protect that base coat of paint. However, I'm also going to encourage you to still cover this in varnish as a base coat. I did 2 thin coats on mine. I would recommend the same for you. And this is because it's going to kind of help level out the wood grain a little bit, which will hopefully avoid it from sucking the paint when we drop dots on it. When you're working with wood that absorbs that paint, it can sometimes make your dots uneven and wonky. And so they're not like nice, beautiful circles. So this varnish or any varnish, we just want to put a layer over top. Like I said, I did 2 thin coats, but I like to use a Liquitex matte varnish. Just happens to be the varnish of my choice. Do whatever you like, but I highly recommend doing something to protect the base. Okay, so let's see first of all if I can see the white. Oh, I can see it. Okay. I mean, it's not going to be super bright, but we're going to be doing this chalk transfer. I'm using a General's pastel chalk pencil. I got this from Michael's Canada, but it is also available on Amazon. I've seen it there. I would check other... Oh, there's a piece of chalk stuck in there. Other home craft stores as well. You probably could find it there. They're very useful. They're very good. And they're not super expensive. And they last a long time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over and we're going to basically color the entire back of this image so that it's covered in chalk. And then when we place it over top of our wood slice and put a little bit of pressure on it, that should transfer that image right over to our wood. And then we're going to start painting and dotting it. So let's get started with that. I can see through the paper, luckily, so that's good. If you have a smaller piece of wood or a larger piece of wood and you want your pumpkins to be bigger, by all means, just mess around with the settings on your printer. This one, the way I printed this out, actually, I didn't increase or diminish the size of the printout. It's the way it is in the PDF. And it's actually worked out for my slice of wood. So I'm pleased with that. I really enjoy this chalk method. I do it all the time. It's the reason I can get so many beautiful images dot painted because I am not capable of freehand drawing. Okay, I think we've covered it. Now, I'm going to actually cut mine out so that I can see exactly where I'm placing it before I do. I can see that my wood round is not quite perfectly round because it's a tree trunk. So, you know, at least that's what they say it is, whether it is or not. Is it fake wood? I don't think so. I'm going to go pretty close to the edges because I just want to see when I'm placing this down how close I am to the center and all of that. You, of course, can always find the center of your wood round of this by using a ruler. I usually don't do that because I enjoy the game of trying to get as close to center as possible. And then if I'm not good at it and I don't get to center very well and I end up with like I don't know, like an off-centered design, then it kind of challenges me to work within that. Like now it's off center. So what are you going to do to fill in the gaps and this and that? So it's, I actually really enjoy the challenge of it, frankly. So I usually don't measure. I usually eyeball. So that's what we're going to do. This worked out to be a perfect size. I love this. This is great. Okay. So wait, let me look at my wood round. So this to me looks elongated. So if I wanted to place this, that's a good spot. So this should be the bottom. That's going to be the top. That works out perfectly. What do you think? Good spot? Should I turn it a little bit? So you get that little flat part on the side. I think that's great. Okay, so what we're going to do is once we've decided what position you want this image in, you're going to be using your non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed, which you'll see very shortly. So that's my left hand. And basically, once you've decided where your image needs to be positioned, you're going to stop there and not move it. So I've got myself a finger's width roughly down here, maybe a little bit. It's a little hot. It's a little high. But I don't care. I like it. I like where it's at. Okay, so now that I've decided that, I'm going to place my hands on it so that it won't move. And I'm going to use a pen, but you can use anything you want. You can use a pencil. You can use the back of a paintbrush. You can use a dotting tool. Anything you want that is going to allow you to put pressure on all of these lines. That's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll start at the top here. And we're going to make sure that we can see the chalk line before I go too far. I don't want to waste a lot of time transferring it if it's not actually visible to me. I can see it. It's a little faint, but I can see it. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, if you can't see your chalk transfer line, then you can try using a graphite pencil instead. I've done that many, many times, and it has been very successful. It's just as much of a challenge as taking chalk lines off will be. It's never as easy as you think it's going to be. You're like, oh, it's just chalk. It'll wipe off. No, it's not as easy as you think. You're going to end up taking a bit of time to get your chalk lines off. So if you walk into it thinking that, yeah, they're really faint, hey? But can I see it? I feel like I can see it enough. I'm going to try to be more aggressive with my lines. And maybe that'll help. I'm pressing it down really hard now as if that's going to make a big deal of a difference. It may not. I'm thinking it probably won't. It's mostly because the color of the grain is so light. Well, I mean, I can see it. I know you probably can't. Oh, maybe you can actually. Anyway, if you can't see it, like I said, go ahead and use a regular number 2 pencil. That can generally work pretty well. It's just going to be a bit frustrating to remove the lines after. But as I said, it's equally frustrating, in my opinion, to remove chalk lines. So it's kind of one of those things that you have to prepare yourself for and be like, I know I'm going to be annoyed by this, but I have to get it done. So I'm just going to do it. And probably feel annoyed throughout all of it, but I'm still going to do it. I guess that's part of being an adult, right? Sucks. Do not recommend. 0 stars. How are we doing? Okay, I can see it. All right. So my plan for this is I'm going to actually paint the pumpkin directly onto the wood, as you know, because there's no background color. But what I mean by that is I'm not going to start by dotting it. I'm going to start by just painting it. So that'll be orange. That'll be a light green. That'll be like a plum. Then as it's drying, we're going to draw in these these lines as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them black because I ultimately want them to be white, but I'm thinking the way I'll make them white is I'm going to dot over them rather than make these lines white to begin with and then dotting dark over it. And then we're just going to make, I'm thinking I'm going to do like columns of dots all the way down, like almost like a petal on each of these. That's the plan today. No mandala, no explosion of dots, more like almost, I don't really want to do a graduated dot, like walking the dots. I'm thinking more like almost identical dots all the way until you get to the edges, like until we're dotting into these corners here. Anyway, we'll see. I have an idea in mind, but most of the time it doesn't turn out the way I have intended. You know what? I can't really see that at all. That's interesting. I was able to see that though. Let's try again. If not, I really am going to have to move to pencil, and that's going to bug me. All right. I see that a bit better now. I'm going to tear through this paper in a minute for how aggressive I'm being now. I mean, it's also just a pumpkin, so it's not like it's really that hard of a shape to try to mimic. Even if I can't get my lines perfect, who cares? I'm sure I can figure it out. It's not like drawing somebody's face or... But like, come on, bro. Come on. I put lots of chalk on there. I know I did. So we kind of come back to why I get into, you know, like you get into a habit with certain things and you keep doing it that way. And it's because of this. It's because of frustration and annoyance when you try to do something different and it's not working your way. So like, damn, I can't even see that. I think I might have to switch to pencil, and I really don't want to now that I'm halfway through this. I can kind of see it. It's also because my lighting is a little, you know, abnormal because I'm lighting it for a live stream instead of me just chilling at home doing something. Okay. This is interesting. We're going to see how this comes out now. I feel like, oh, I just totally removed the picture from my hand. That's great, Mary. By the way, I highly recommend never doing that because now there's no way I'm going to line these up properly again. So good job. I actually think I might try this with pencil because I'm getting really frustrated. Even though I can kind of see it, it's not enough for me to be comfortable and happy with it. So I'm going to save myself the stress, and I'm going to just try this with a pencil. We'll see how it goes. Hi there, Tony. Welcome. So we're going to basically do the exact same thing we already did, but this time with the graphite pencil. And having already cut it out, so it's much more annoying. This is going swimmingly well. Oh, is there anything I can color on top of around here? I literally have nothing around me I can color on top of. All right, well, handle it, table. So we're going to see how this goes. Usually in the past when I've struggled with chalk, I've moved on to pencil and it's worked out pretty well. So we're going to see how we do today. And I'll tell you what, if this doesn't work, I might switch to something totally different. and not even do these stacked pumpkins. Because if they don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with them. So we'll see after I try to transfer with the pencil. If I get any more attitudes, then maybe we'll switch this up and do something totally different. Like a mandala or something. We'll see. My preference would be to do these pumpkins because I think they're super cute. And I also just love the color palette. Like usually when you see fall things, they're like, you know, really, really vibrant. Oh, I totally just did that right across my table. They're like really, really vibrant reds and orange and greens and pumpkin orange. Like mostly that pumpkin-y orange is what you see a lot of. Yellows. And I just really like that this has that muted orange, that plummy purple, which is always a fun color to mix into the equation. And I never really think about it. And then when I see it done in fall decor, I'm always like, oh, plum is such a underrated fall color, you know, because you do reach those kinds of looks in the leaves when the leaves turn and they go from, you know, gorgeous green down all the way down to brown. There's probably a really lovely plum burgundy color in there somewhere at some point. All right. I think we got it. We're going to see how this goes. And just because I don't want to worry about this later, because I would just figure that I can't see the chalk lines, but then I'll be able to see them when I'm done. So we're going to give this a quick erase just to make sure that I'm not overlapping. Because I got to the point where I was being very aggressive with the way I was pressing down. And I probably scored the wood a little bit. Aggressiva. All right, let's see if these pumpkins want to get dotted today or not. Now, do I have this in the right position again? I think so. This is always the most frustrating point for me when I'm doing something like this, is making sure I've placed it in the right spot and that it's transferring properly. Once this part's done, then it's just dotting and it'll be fun. This is the most tedious part. We'll get through it, guys. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm going to try over here first. We'll do a couple of lines. Oh, yeah. Look at that. All right. Pumpkins would like to be made, it seems. So pumpkins it shall be. So we're going to do the exact same thing we already did. I'm just going to trace my pen over top of all of these lines so that the pressure from my pen is going to push against that graphite lead. Well, it's not lead. It's graphite that we painted onto the back, or colored onto the back, rather. Wow. What a difference. Well, as my friend Alanis Morissette always says, I think I said that recently, actually. It's because the other night I went to watch my husband play hockey. He's an amazing goalie. He loves playing ball hockey. And I actually went to watch him play. And it's always a pleasure to watch him play, but also it's nice to be able to kind of like sit there and listen to some tunes uninterrupted. I'm not working. I'm not, you know, planning or doing some editing or anything. I feel like I'm constantly doing something. So it's nice to just kind of sit there and watch him play. And I was listening to some music and I somehow ended up listening to Jagged Little Pill from Alanis Morissette, that whole album. And man, did that take me back. What a great album. If you've never listened to it, I highly recommend it. You need to have your listening ears on because the lyrics, she's so good. And she's got such a great voice. I feel like she hasn't released anything in a long time. But that album in particular, I knew it very, very well because I listened to it a lot when I was a teenager. And so it was a lot of fun listening to it the other day. And ever since I've been quoting her. You live, you learn. You cry, you learn. You choke, you learn. You know. So we learned today not to try to make it work when it's not working, right? That's ultimately the lesson here, folks. When you try and it's not working, don't try to keep making it work. Find an alternative. Save yourself the frustration. How's that? Beauty. So the reason I started using a pen for this part is because I would often miss sections of what I'm transferring over because I didn't realize I hadn't pressed on it yet. I would use like the top of a pen, or I'd use the top of a dotting tool. And so the pressure would work, but I personally couldn't see it while I was doing it. Is there anything else I need before I let go? I feel like this spot's a little bit muddy. That's better. I do the edges of each of these because I feel like sometimes that gets a little overlooked. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. You could use a little razzmatazz. Okay. I am pleased with this, except for you. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is kind of transfer over these little vines, I guess they are. With their razzmatazz little hat that guy has. I don't know if I'm going to do these ones. This one I might. Should I draw them in? No, I think if I'm going to paint them, I'll paint them freehand. Even that one I might. That came out great. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So I'm probably going to go top to bottom. I'm not so much worried about the brown. I might do that last. I'm more concerned about the spots where we want to actually like paint in. So my plan is to paint the entire pumpkin in its color. And then once it's dry, we're going to dot paint over it in lighter shades or slightly different shades. So for this one, for the top pumpkin, I think what I've decided I'm going to do is kind of like a burnt orange. So I'm going to do this pure pumpkin, and I'm going to add some cinnamon brown to it and see if we can get a bit of a darker pumpkin color. And I'm going to be using a bunch of these today for sure, because I definitely am trying to make variations of shades today. Anytime you're making a custom color, take your time when you're stirring. That's really important. What? Why? Why? Where did I get all this ink from? Oh, from touching the design over and over again. I kept drawing on it, I guess. I've literally never had that happen to me. Ink upon my fingers. Well, while we're here, let's talk about some of the little tools I have on the side. Wet rag, always. I always have two. They're really good for cleaning off your dotting tools and apparently for cleaning your hands when you get them dirty, not knowing how. Surprise. All right, so I'm going to put just a little bit of brown in here. I don't know how dark I want this to be. Anytime you're mixing a custom color, the key is to stir slowly. I do not consider this slow. This is the slowest I normally go, but you might want to go a little slower than this when you are stirring your paint, because when you stir quickly, you introduce air bubbles to the equation and you're going to have to deal with them. So if you don't want them, stir much, much slower than this, and you'll be much happier. But I am very impatient about this kind of thing, so I just live with the bubbles. Bubbles. What was that from? Finding Nemo, I think. Okay, that's pretty dark. I don't know that I want to go any darker than that. What do you think? Maybe a tiny bit more. Solo un poquito más. Look at my handshake. Get it together. It's just paint. Okay. I am most likely not going to dot with this color. This is most likely just going to be the color of the pumpkin, which is why I'm not making much of this. I won't really need much. Okay. I think you're pretty well mixed. That's good. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for your stirring abilities. Now, I'm going to actually bring this back into the equation just so that you can see it. I always like to keep my inspiration image off to the side so that I keep track of it. So let's go ahead and start painting this. I think I'm going to use my liner brush. No, probably not actually. I have a little tiny paintbrush I can use. Pardonnez-moi. I'm looking for what I consider the perfect paintbrush. I think this might be the perfect one. All right, you're the one. We're going to do it. So I am going to paint these. What are they called? I had the same conversation when I was making the pumpkin wreath the other day. These seams, these section pieces, I don't know. I'm going to paint it. I think I'm going to paint it black. I'm going to actually leave a tiny, tiny spot in between so that I don't lose track of it. Well, I don't think I would. I think you'd probably see it through the paint. Okay, and the stem's going to be brown, so we'll come back to you. And then, because this is such a thin coat, it's going to dry really quickly, and I'm not going to do a second coat on top. I am absolutely intending to have this tree trunk like vibe coming through. That's the whole point of why we didn't try to paint the background any color or whatever. I really want this wood slice to give that like that really cozy vibe. Got a little too much paint over here, which is why I'm still. That looks great, lad. Something upstairs just fell. It was quite loud, which is why I just made that jumping noise. And I don't think my husband's home at the moment. So that's a little frightening. If I tell you to call 911, please do. No, don't worry. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't get worried. Don't get freaked out. I'm totally joking. Everything's fine. It's probably one of those things, you know, when you have like something propped up and it's sitting on, I don't know, something, and over time, gravity and whatnot, and it just falls out of nowhere like hours later. That's probably what just happened. Or at least that's what I'm going to keep telling myself. Ooh, that looks so good. Okay. I'm going to let that dry. Then I am going to come back with my liner brush, and we're going to go ahead and draw those sectional lines in. Thinking, like I said, I was thinking about doing it black, but now I'm thinking maybe a dark brown is better than black. Yeah, that actually makes sense, doesn't it? I think I might do that. All right, orange, done. Now we're going to move on to this green. Now I have a bunch of greens for some reason. I have all like, I feel like there's not a lot of shades of orange that you can buy in these kind of acrylic paints, but lots of greens are available. So I'm going to probably go with this one, which is a mint breeze. It's going to be a really light colored green. I don't think I'm going to need a ton of this, so we're going to try to take it easy. But this is almost like an aqua blue. So when we put all of that green on top, I don't know, that's actually a little bit more blue than green. Why don't I add a little bit of green in there? This is called Sour Apple. Yeah, that's a little bit better. What can I use to mix you? Mixy, mixy. See, it looks like everything's going to be custom colored today. That's funny. I like making my own colors whenever the spirit moves me. It's not something I do all the time, but it is nice. I don't want to waste this because I don't have a lot of this paint. Okay. All right, let's do this guy in the center now. So as I was saying, I do want to see that wood grain kind of come through. Still just really gives that cozy vibe. Now, if you're a little freaked out by dot painting, this is a really fun project that you can do. Any of these chalk transfer projects that I have on my channel, I highly recommend you try them out if you're a little freaked out by dot painting, a mandala type of dot paint, or even just a more complicated dot painting. These chalk transfer images that I do, a lot of times I do something called an explosion of dots. So you outline the image, and then on the inside, you just kind of dot in every direction using various sizes. And it looks like an explosion of dots, and it looks great, but it's an easy way for you to practice when you're new at dot painting and you're a little bit intimidated. It's a great way to practice spacing and sizing and techniques like walking the dots and keeping things the same size. Like there's little things that you do need to learn as part of dot painting, no matter how, how detailed or difficult the projects you work on are. When you're starting out, there's a few things that you want to practice. And these kinds of projects like this one can help you practice the basic skills of dot painting that you're going to need to know. But at the same time, you're making something really pretty instead of just using like a practice paper, So that's why I like doing it this way. I've always practiced on actual projects. And let me tell you, some of the things I made when I was learning how to dot paint, man, they are cute as hell. I'm just like, oh, honey. You did try though, girlfriend. And then, hey, you learn, right? You practice, you get better. Ugh, God, I hate that about being human. You really do have to practice to get better. It sucks. And it really is true that you have to be a little bit uncomfortable when you're trying to learn something new, because if you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not growing much. Boo, I hate it. 0 stars. All right, we are rocking and rolling here. I'm kind of covering my lines up a bit, but I can see them through the paint, so I'm not super concerned. I'm loving the grain coming through the paint. That looks great. I love it. Okay, now for this plum color, I have 3 colors of purple. No, I kind of have 4, but 2 of them are pretty close. I have a straight up grape. Like this is a straight up grape in my opinion. They call it lavender, but that's not lavender. This is lavender, so like a light purple. And then I have this African violet. So I think we're going to try the African violet. I want to see how dark it is. Do I want to do that dark, or do we want to do... This is called Cupid's Kiss. Apparently Cupid's got a purpley pinky kind of kiss. I think I'm going to do the dark plum. This African violet. That's like my vibe right now. Well, apparently I'm going to mix in a little bit of that. So we'll see how this turns out now. Yeah, turns out every single color is going to be custom today. Surprise! Just give them a good stir. I mean, it lightened it up just a tiny, tiny bit, which is great. That's good. All right. Let's get to it. That is very deep. I'm going to try to thin it out so that we can still see that grain. So I really do like that vibe. You can be like, oh, it's a wood slice. I mean, not like you can't tell it's a wood slice from the edges, but I liked being able to see through it a bit. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. It's nice having a kind of like a slightly different color palette. Now, the green in the center is probably the brightest of the colors today, but that's only because it's going to be the base color of it. I'm going to do darker dots on the inside of it. So I think that'll tone it down a little bit. Oh, this purple is speaking to my soul right now. I love it. This is such a fun little project to do on a Sunday afternoon. And let me tell you, we've had like some thunderstorms the last couple of days, and today it's been raining all day. Oh boy, it is so. Oh, you know what? That's probably what fell, my umbrella. Oh, thank God. That just made me feel so much better. Anyway, I was saying we've had a lot of rain over the last couple of days, and it's been raining all day today as well. Oh, I kind of got on my green there. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's okay. I'm going to cover it with the line that I'm painting there anyway. So it's kind of fun to paint on a Sunday afternoon when it's raining outside and fall's a coming. If you're a parent, I'm sure you're probably counting down. I think I told that story on another live stream not long ago when I went to the dollar store and I encountered a mother with 3 young boys in the that were testing her will to live. Anyway, yeah, it's just around the corner. Today's already the 23rd of August in 2026. Whenever you're watching this in the replay, hello from the past. Don't forget to brush your teeth. Oh, yeah, that looks great. I love that grain coming through. You know, I could really do the seams of this one just in this own purple, just like a thicker. Since I'm kind of like letting this spread thin. We'll see. I had a little too much paint on my paintbrush. That's why I just did what I did, where I kind of like painted it until it was dried and then went back to get that paint off of here because I feel like there's a bit too much here. That's better. I like it. Now, of course, if these colors aren't your vibe, you can always do any color you want. That's one of the things I love about a lot of the projects that I do on my channel. I try to make sure that they are really, really customizable so that you're doing something that you like to do in the shades that you like to do it in and not, you know, something you're not going to like in the end. All right. We've got one more. My hand's a little numb. What a surprise. My hands go numb all the live long day. Yeah, this is a really pretty purple. I mean, it's not even any, it's going to be like a squirt of Cupid's Kiss with a much larger squirt of African Violet, I think it was called. Where are you? African Violet, that's right. All right, we did it. We did it. Yeah, and now that one's already dry, this was always the plan. So now that's why I'm working my way down. We're going to go back up there. Actually, I should draw in the stem as well while we're at it. But I think I'm going to do that with a liner brush. It's a little too small of an area. So I'm going to switch over to my liner brush. If you've never used a liner brush, I highly recommend you try them out. I bought these at Michael's, if I'm not mistaken. You can also buy, oh, silly girl. You can also buy them online on Amazon, and other craft shops have them. They're really great. They're a little intimidating with these long, brush points here, but it's actually a lot easier to work with than you'd think. And they really give you really beautiful, smooth lines, which are not easy to make happen most of the time. I don't want this to be a super dark stem, so I'm actually going to add, I think I'm going to add a drop of white to this to lighten this up a little bit. I really need so little for this stem. I've clearly put a lot of white in here. Well, that'll do. There's like barely any paint in here. I'm going to make my life so difficult for no reason. I could have just put a little bit more. But it's fine. He's good. All right, let's go for it. We're going to start. This is just for the stem. Then we're going to do the lines with the darker brown, I think. I've been intimidated by liner brushes for a long time, and I only recently started using them because of that. And I highly regret all of the time that I could have been using them to make my life easier, and I was too intimidated and I never tried to use it. I look back on that and been like, man, I could have had so much easier times doing other projects if I had just let myself try and fail. Because you're going to fail. I mean, of course, you're going to fail a little bit especially when you're learning something. It's like a constant. All right, let's do those dividing lines now. I'm going to just use this straight up. What is this color called? Cinnamon something? Cinnamon brown. Cinnamon something. The something of the cinnamon. All right, let's do these dividing lines. I don't know if I want to do the outline. Like, you know how this is outlined in the color? I don't know. We're going to start with just making the dividing lines. And then we can make a decision. I think I'm going to need to do the outline, actually. Oh, what happened to you? How'd you run out of paint like that? That was weird. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to do the outline of the outside. So let's just do that real quick. I'm so impressed with how smooth these lines come out. I'm still like learning how to get thinner lines. This is why I try to add this paintbrush into my projects. Because why? I'm practicing. I'm trying to get better at using it. And I'm much better than I was, but I've still got a lot of room to grow here. So I keep adding elements where I can use it into my projects so that I can practice. Beautiful. The hardest part is getting your hand in the right position so that you don't move too much when you're drawing your line. Because I want to be smooth, you know? Preferably with just one long, smooth line, but sometimes it doesn't work out like that, and you do it like this. That came out a little wonky. It's a little thicker than I would have liked, but I can live with it. I'm also going to outline the stem and do that inner line that we have there. I may or may not dot that. We'll see. I probably will, though. I like the idea of having everything dotted a little bit. Just realized where my pinky is. I'm asking for trouble. I'm asking for all of the trouble. You always need to be aware where your pinky is, because I use my pinky for balance. It holds my hand up. My hands are weak and I can't hover over my projects. So that's good. That's great. All right, we did it. Let's move on to the green pumpkin. And then we'll come back and fill these all in with dots. Yeah, this is going to be a struggle. Okay, maybe I'll turn you sideways. Even with the base that I put on here, that varnish coat, I'm still seeing that wood suck up the paint. At least a little. Okay. That's good. And then we'll do the bottom in a second. So these lines are coming out thin, but they're too thin. You don't want to lose the color as you're going. Okay. Trying to make sure to always curve the ends so that you're not accidentally making them a little squared off. That's better. That's good. Ooh, Lost track of that guy. That's a bit better. Ugh, I made a little bit of a mess here. Let's see if we can fix it. There. Kind of makes me want to thicken up the other side though, because now I made that pretty thick. We'll see. You probably won't notice any of these things because once we start dotting over it, this is basically like the foundation of the house. You know what I mean? We're putting in all the bricks and stuff, but eventually once you start putting up all the curtains and chandeliers and light fixtures and this and that, it's going to look great. You know what I'm noticing is, I can't believe it just took me till now to realize that's what's happening. It's the wood grain. It's kind of making my paintbrush jump a little bit. I probably should have done one more coat of varnish over top. I'll make note of that for next time. Maybe instead of 2 coats, I'll do 3. Varnish usually dries fairly quickly, but you do want to give it a few hours in between coats if you can, to let it really dry. Right. I think that's good. I'm pleased with that. Here we come, purple. I'm coming for you. That's interesting. Because it's so dark, you almost can't see the outline. But that's okay. Even if you can't, I'm still going to do it because it keeps it as a more complete. You know what I mean? It's smooth. And it was waiting for that. I was intending to do it. So even if you can't see it, I still need to do it. So that the overall vibe still matches, even if it's not glaringly obvious. Can you even see that? Yeah, you can see it. I see little spots where I could have put some more paint. I might grab add a couple of dots in before I'm done. But we're basically done the freehand portion now, like the straight up painting. Once I'm done this outline on this bottom pumpkin here, and then we're going to move on to dotting. The dots. We make all the dots. That's good. Yeah, it's a challenge when you can't really see it as well, isn't it? Yeah, there's a couple spots that could use a little bit more purple. That's great. You know, something I've always wondered, I see these images all the time, these stacked pumpkins, you know, they even have like jack-o'-lanterns like that and stuff. Have you ever tried to stack pumpkins on top of each other? Will they even sit like this? I don't think they will. Mostly if they have stems. It's kind of silly when you think about it. You don't know, I gotta have to try it this year. And again, these are like the most perfect pumpkins ever. Go look for some pumpkins and see if they're this beautiful. They're never going to be perfectly even. My hand's going numb again. Oh, so much better. Man, was it going numb. I was like, oh, I'll just finish this. No, you're going to get really like messy when you start losing control of your hand. There we go. That's great. That came out beautiful. All right, we are ready to start our dot painting. I'm just going to fill in a little bit of this purple in a couple spots that I mentioned. And then we're going to start on the orange level first. There we go. Beautiful. All filled in. Okay, so let's decide what kind of orange we want for over top of this. So this base orange, we made that kind of like burnt kind of color happen. So we've got just this straight orange itself. Thinking I'm probably going to stick with just that. And then I'm going to also do a yellow orange. So I'm going to put some orange in here. And I'm going to add this cardamom yellow. Now, all of these paints I picked up at my local Dollarama. Most craft stores now will have craft style paint like this. I highly recommend. They're super useful. Of course, you can always spend money on much higher quality paints and, you know, more bodied paints and stuff. So you do you. But you really don't need to spend that kind of money to do the kind of projects I do. I just put a whole bunch more yellow in there because I want this to be a lot more yellow than it is right now. I'm going to have to keep putting them side by side to see because I want it to be not necessarily a gradient, although a gradient look is always lovely, but more so just to have different shades of orange within the same section to give it a little bit of depth. We're getting there. I think I'm trying to get to like a tangerine. Maybe I should have done a bright yellow instead of cardamom yellow. That's something to consider. Okay, this is more like what I'm looking for. That's a noticeably different orange now, right? I think so. So this is number 2 of the oranges. I'm going to flip this over because I am going through a lot of popsicle sticks right now. And then number 3, I'm going to do just the exact same orange, but I'm going to add white instead of yellow to lighten it up. So it's going to be like a really light orange. That might have been a little too much white. Let's see. Kind of like a sherbet I think I'm hungry. Anytime I compare things to food, I'm usually hungry. And it's often that I compare things to food. That's better. I think I'm going to go even more white. I think I'm going to make an ungodly amount of white. We're going to offend you with how much white we're going to put in here. So that this becomes super duper light. That's better. This is basically why I always start with just a little bit when I start mixing colors, because I find that I'm constantly missing the color I'm trying to hit. So I keep adding more or removing more. Yeah, that's nice and light. Okay. I think these three will do just fine. I should not have scraped that, but that's okay. So I'm going to be using my dotting tools today. I'll be using my stylus dotting tools. But if you don't have dotting tools, either because you don't want to invest the money or you just don't know where to get them, first of all, you can get them off of Amazon. They're not expensive. These types of stylus are maybe 10, at most 20 bucks, but I don't think they're even that much. And they generally even come with some different rods and sizes as well. But this is what we're going to be working with today. Now, if you don't have these types of tools at home, don't worry. Open up your junk drawer and have a look at all of the different things you have rolling around in there that could make a dot. The tip of a pen, the tip of a pencil, the eraser on a pencil, the bottoms of any of these. Oh, you're dirty. Get in there. Of your paintbrushes. Paintbrushes in particular, if you have a few paintbrushes, they in particular have so many different sizes on the bases of their sticks. Speaking of sticks, oh, where are they? My Q-tips. These are my BFFs anytime I'm dot painting. So by all means, you can use these for dots. These can make nice medium-sized dots. You could pull the cotton off and use just the rod for the dots. And when you're looking for teeny tiny baby dots, always, always toothpicks are your friend. And I'm a big fan of also using wood shish kebab skewers. I use both sides. They're super convenient. You can make some great dots out of them. So don't stress out if you don't have a stylus like I do or a set of styluses like I do. You can totally make these dots at home using things you have in your junk drawer. Okay? So let's get started. I'm going to have a quick sip of water before we continue. Because she be doing a lot of talking. All right. I think I want to keep these dots pretty small. These are small sections. My biggest dotting tool is this green one here. It's a 3mm. I'm going to go down to probably, the tops of these are all the same size and they're a 1.25mm. So I think that's what I'm going to actually start with is the top of one of these. And basically what we're going to do is at the center of each section, we're going to start with our biggest dot. And then we're going to make 2 or 3 that are the same size going up and then continue until they're smaller. So I'll show you what I mean. And I'm probably going to do the lightest color right in the center. So that's the one that we just made. Awesome. Thank you. All right. So right here in the center, our big dot. I'm going to do one more above it. Actually, maybe I'll do 2 more. So you can see I'm getting pretty close, but I'm not touching. And then we're going to keep going up into the corner just like that. And I think I'll do just one more of an equal size here. And then my next one, I'm going to keep walking the dots. So no more adding additional color. Okay. Now we're going to go on either side of it and do the same thing. But I'm probably going to size down on my dotting tool to give myself room on either side. I'm going to stick with this lighter orange in this center section, and then we're going to move out to these other 2 colors, I think. I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm making this up as I go along, basically what seems right to me. So I switched this over to now the 1mm side, And I'm going to go close, but not touching. So I'm not going to touch any of my rows. I'm not worrying about them being in the spaces in between dots. None of that matters. Each row is independent of itself for this purpose, because we're just trying to make orange lines, basically, that have a little bit of depth to them. So 3 the same size, and now I'm going to walk the dots till the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll do the same on this side. 1 more, and then I'm going to walk the dots down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's walking the dots. If I didn't mention it, I actually don't think I did. Walking the dots is when you do not put more paint on your dotting tool. You start with the paint that you have, and you just keep going, and you diminish in size. That's walking the dots. But we are starting with similar sized dots, and then we walk the dots. So here I'm going to start walking the dots. No more refilling my paint. I'm just going to keep going until we get to the smallest dots. I'm going to do the same on this side. Now I want to start trying to make the curve if possible. So this next one, we're going to try to curve in between a little bit. Am I going to stick with this color? Or am I going to start moving to the next color? I think I'm going to start moving to the next color. So we'll do this yellowy orange next. Look at all those bubbles from how hard I was stirring. It's aight. We'll just pop the bubbles if we come across them. I'm going to stick with this 1 mil. Oh, I almost lost control of my thing. Oh my God, that would have been terrible. I'm going to stick with the 1 millimeter side of this dotting tool. I would compare this to the top of a shish kebab skewer probably, or the tip of a pencil. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll start with the largest dot right in the center. And then I'm going to do a couple the same size going up. And then on the 4th dot, we're going to walk the dots till the top. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to curve this side. I don't think there is. So 1, and we'll do 1 more. I'm going to start walking the dots right now for this one. There. Now you can't probably see this color difference. In person, it's visible. This is what I mean by a slight gradient. It's not that we're doing, oh, that I put that one really, really close. I'm waiting to see if they're going to merge with each other, because if they are, I might clean them off with a Q-tip because I don't want a blob dot. One. And we're going to walk the dots after this one. What do you think? It looks cool, right? I like it. We're going to do this color until probably just before this seam, like we did with that one. And then we'll switch to the mean. I shouldn't have poured that in there already. Oh, wait. Put on your hat. You're going to catch a cold. Okay. So let's continue. Again, I'm going to stick with this. Oh, no, I'm not. Now we're starting section number 2. Now, I could start and do the same thing, but I don't want to. I want to keep going forward, but we're going to start in the center with the biggest dot again. I do like the way that looks. It's kind of like it's like a focal point. So I'm going to flip over to the other side, which is the 1.25 side of this dotting tool. And we're going to try to get a bunch of paint on here so I can make a pretty big dot right in the center of this piece. Right there. 2. Now here's where we're going to be curving. So this is number 3. We're going to walk now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. And we'll do the same on the bottom. I'm only going to do 1 on the bottom underneath this one because it's already pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. That worked out really well. I'm going to stick with the same color on this side. So on the left side of the line we just did. But I'm going to flip over to the other side. I'm only using that 125 in the center, it looks like. And then we're going to put 1 dot, 2, 3, and we're going to walk the dots here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll do the same on the top. 1. 2, and we're going to walk the dots from there. That looks great. So start on this side. We wanted to do that darker. That's a good question because I might have enough room for 2 rows here. Do I? We're going to try. We're going to try to see if we can fit 2 rows, in which case I'm going to do 1 row in this yellowy orange, and then we'll go straight orange on that last row. I don't know that this is different enough for it to be noticeable, but I'm still going to do it. So 1 in the center, 2, 3. We're going to do 4, I think, on this side. And then I'm going to walk 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's great. 1, 2, and I'm going to walk the dots from this one on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Beauty. Now, do I want to keep going on this side or do I want to do that side? Let's keep going on this side and we'll go back after. But then I got to remember what I'm doing so that I do the same mirror. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to remember. So let's start the other side as well so that I mirror each half. So we're going to do the center line on this section, which means the top of this 1.25 millimeter dotting tool now. And try to get the biggest dot right there in the center. So I'm going to grab a lot of paint. That's good. 2. 1 more, and we're going to walk the dots. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And going down, same thing. 1. Actually, just 2. I'm going to walk the dots right now. That's great. That worked out great. Now you can see I'm constantly cleaning my dotting tool. This is because if you don't clean your dotting, oh no, wrong side. I need to pay attention while I'm talking. Flipping back over to the 1 millimeter side. As I was saying, you do need to pay attention to how much paint is on your dotting tool because it can accumulate. And when it does accumulate, it's going to make your dots bigger just because there's more surface area for them to cover. So you want to stay on top of that so that you're not losing the shape of your dot because of the pileup of paint. Beautiful. I'm going to do 1 more on that side. I feel like this is a bigger than that one. I don't know if I can fit 2 on that side. We're going to make it work. We're going to try. I'm going to start really small in the corner here. I'm going to do the least amount of paint that I can on my dotting tool so that my dots are super small. 1 more, and we're going to walk the dots now. Okay, so now we're equal. The next line before the seam on both sides, we're going to do the straight pumpkin orange or pure orange. It's called. No, it's not called that. It's called pure pumpkin. Pure pumpkin. So we're going to do the 1.25 in the center. Actually, no, we're not, because I'm on that last line right before each seam. I'm actually going to go to the 1 millimeter side to get the smallest dots we can so I can fit it in there. So again, I'm going to start in the center though and work my way out. And I'm going to start walking the dots right here because this is a tiny, tiny spot. So you really want your smallest dots in there. This is a good spot where if you're uncomfortable walking the dots and you're trying to make your dots smaller anyway, switch to a toothpick and that should help you get those teeny tiny dots in place. We'll do this side too. I'm going to walk the dots from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're tiny, tiny, tiny. The teeniest, tiniest dots you ever did see. That is something that I think is a misconception of people who are new to dot painting. Again, we're flipping over to the 1.25 side for the big center dot of the next two sections. And what I mean is the misconception that I think a lot of people have is that focus. I totally forgot what I was saying. Oh, well, it'll come back eventually. I can barely get a little line between each one on either side. So I'm flipping this over to the 1 millimeter side, and we're going to get small dots here. Oh, I remember now. There's this misconception that when you're a beginner, you can't get these little teeny tiny dots. When people see teeny tiny dots, they're like, oh, you must have been doing this forever. I mean, no, it's practice, first of all. But secondly, the dotting tools help you get them that small. So you can get really tiny dots even if you're a beginner dot painter. All right. Beautiful. We'll start the other section and flip it over. I'm not sure if you can see that gradient, but I definitely can. So I'm really happy with that. We'll see how we do with the green one next. I don't know if we're going to be able to do more than one row in this side. It's much smaller. 2. I'm going to walk the dots from here. I think I can fit a line of really, really small dots on either side of that. So I'm going to. So again, the 1 millimeter side. We're going to be jumping between those. I'm not sure for the next section if I'm going to go that small, though. So we'll see. I'm starting with walking the dots right off the bat. I'm just putting one dot down and then, because it's such a small spot. That's beautiful. Beauty, that worked out great. All right, we're done our orange. Let's move on to green. I have another little palette here because I knew this was going to happen. I've got a few options here. Now, this green was a mixture that we came up with, which was a little combination of this sour apple and this mint breeze. So I don't think either of these I'm going to use right now. I'm going to kind of stick in these two. I've got a Christmas green and a hunter green. They're both really dark. Well, this one's really dark. Yeah, that's more of like a Christmas tree kind of green. So I'm going to start at the center with this lighter green, and then we're going to lead out the edges to the dark green, kind of like we did with the other. So then this one's going to need a little bit of white mixed in now that I'm thinking about it, so that I end up with 3 colors again. So the lightened up green. In comparison, let's see what the original green looks like. Yeah, that's a noticeable difference, but I am going to add just a little bit more white. That's good. Now, I hope it's not too light in comparison to the background. We're going to see how that goes. In the first couple dots, if it's not looking contrasty enough, then we'll skip the light green and go straight to the Christmas green. Okay, so since this section's a little bit bigger, I'm going to actually swap my dotting tool up a notch to 1.5. I think I have 2.5. Where are you? Bink. Oh, 2. I don't have a 1.5 for real? No, I guess not. Oh, well. Live and learn. So I'm going to go up to a 2.0, which is going to be the biggest one in the center, and then I'll flip over to the 1.25, which will be my smallest. So let's start right in the center over here. That really blends into the back. What to do, what to do. Yeah, I can't. That's not feasible. Doesn't work. No bueno, no me gusta. So I'm going to clean that dot off, and we are going to skip this light green that we just made because I can't use it. And we're going to use this guy. Oh, I could just darken it a little bit. Let's try that. Maybe I can just make it enough of a contrast so that it's still not the same as the original green, but it's darker, dark enough to get seen against the background. Let's see. That might have been a little too much. Or maybe I should try lightening up the hunter green because that'll have a completely different look to it. It won't be minty like this. Let's see. What do we think? I mean, you can see it, but you can't see it super well, can you? That's a real bummer. Let's try lightening up the hunter and see if I like that better. If not, I'm going to abandon the light line in the center and we'll do a different one. Let's see. Should I just add some into it? Yeah, why not? Yeah, but now it's almost the same color as the original green. We're going to have an overflow situation here in a second. I mean, this might be okay, but it seems pretty close to like the actual green. To that green. Let's see. Let's see what we think. I mean, that's much better. You can actually see it. All right, let's keep going with this for now. So 2, I'm going to walk the dots from this point on. Just one more here, I think. That's great. That's great. I like it. Hi there, and happy Sunday to all of you. I hope you guys are having something yummy. I'm clearly hungry. I keep bringing it up, like, you know, it would be really great right now. Actually, my husband brought me a coffee because he's the freaking best. And it's sitting here patiently waiting for me to drink it. And I'm just gonna. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like getting those little teeny tiny ones fading out. It looks cool. Do the same on the other side. So the biggest dot in the center. And we'll do one more that's identical. And then we're going to walk the dots from there. One. And then we're going to walk the dots from the next one. That looks great. I think I might do this whole section in this color. I'm not going to add any other color to it. I like the way this looks. And we'll do the next 2 sections different colors, I think. We'll figure out what those are going to look like. So again, biggest dot in the center. And I'm going to do 2, I think. 1 identical. And then we're going to start our walking the dots to the top. 1 more large. And then we're going to start walking the dots from here. And last on this side, same. That looks great. That came out beautiful. All right. So now we want to go to a bit of a darker color. And the thing is, now I've darkened that up so much that we're going to have to go straight to Hunter. You know what I'm going to do? I'll go halvesies. That's genius. What does that mean, you might ask? I'll tell you. First of all, let me open my coffee. Since we're talking about it, my Tim Hortons coffee. If you are not from Canada, you've probably still heard of Tim Hortons coffee. It's very popular here. All right. I'm going to do the center line on both of these two sections with this dark green, or this lighter green, really. Big dot in the center. We'll do 2 more, same size, and then walk the dots. I'm going to make sure I go on a curve. Here we go. We're going to walk the dots here. And same on the bottom. We'll do 1 more. I think I'm going to walk the dots right away here. Beauty. Now, everything from this line this way. So the next row is going to be this green as well on the inner portion. So I flipped my dotting tool over. So the smaller side is now being used. 2, I'll do 3 the same size. And then we're going to walk the dots on this row as well. Like that. I'll do 1 more. Maybe 2. Now I'm going to walk the dots. Beautiful. Now on this side, we're going to do the darker green. So let's do this other half first so that I don't get confused. I'm flipping back to the 2 millimeter side, the bigger dot or side. Big dot right in the center. 2 identical above it. 1. And this second one, we're going to walk to the top on a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 more identical. And here we're going to start our walk the dots coming down. That's good. And now that inner line, we're going to also do with this lighter, the thinner side, the 1.25 millimeter side. And again, this green. We'll get 2 that are, maybe 3 that are the same size. I'm going to walk the dots up. So you can see they're totally independent from each other. I'm not trying to make the lines work with each other. They're just supposed to be friends, waving at each other from across the street, minding their own business, but still living in harmony, you know? All right, now we're done this lighter green. We're going to move on to this hunter green. Hunter, I love, love, love this color. I've always been a huge fan of hunter green, and you know, it looks amazing on your nails. Such a great color. I have yet to meet a person who doesn't look good in hunter green. Doesn't matter your complexion, doesn't matter your hair color. Big fan, big fan. All right, so we're going to do the outer part of this section. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Actually, I have a lot of room here. I think I'm going to actually stick to the bottom, the 2 millimeter side. We're going to make our dark. Oh boy, that is a statement. Next one, we're going to walk the dots up. Beautiful. And we'll do just 1 more. I'm going to walk the dots off of this one. That's great. Now this entire section is going to be this darker green. So I'll start right in the center because I don't actually know that, I don't know that I'm going to have room on either side. So instead of in the center, I'm going to start off to the side, close to the line, I think. Yeah, that's probably my best bet. Next one, we're going to walk the dots up. And then we'll do, and just one more walk. We'll walk the dots down now. Beautiful. I think I can fit the same size dots right beside it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But continue to clean off my dotting tool to make sure I'm not getting an excess amount of paint that I'm not expecting. 2. Now I'm going to walk the dots up and around a little bit. And we're going to walk the dots here. Yeah, that looks great. I'm debating if I want to dot over the lines, like the dividing lines that we painted on. It was always my intention to dot over it, probably with white. So we're going to see if that's something that, I don't even know how I would know if that's going to look good without trying it. We're just going to have to try it and see hope for the best. You can see when you're walking the dots, you can get to some really, really tiny, tiny dots. So cool. Such a fun and easy technique I use in practically every single dotting project that I do. There's always some kind of area where I can use walking the dots as a tool to make my project come out the way I have envisioned. Okay, we're going to walk these down into that little teeny tiny spot. One more, we're going to walk the dots off of this one. And one, and we're going to actually walk the dots right away off this because this is a small section. Beautiful. That turned out great. Love it. Mwah. Chef's kiss. All right. It's purple time. It's purple time. We've got all of these colors. Now, which one did I use for that? I think I used Cupid's Kiss for this one, right? Oh, I remember. It was the African violet with a little bit of that mixed in. Okay. Let's see. Where can we start in the center? I think we have to start with lavender in the center of this one. That makes the most sense to me. It's the easiest light purple you're ever going to find. And then what will we do? I could just darken that up with a little bit of grape, which is not what this is called. This is called lavender, but come on. You think these are the same? I see. I get upset. Okay, let's focus. I'm going to stick with, this is the biggest pumpkin we have clearly. So I think I'm going to bump up my dotting tool. I've currently been using the 2mm. I'm going to go up to the 2.5, which should give me some pretty good sized middle dots. And we're going to start with this lavender right down the center with the biggest dot we got going on. I'm going to get as much paint as I can on my dotting tool. And we'll drop it right there. Yeah, that's a beauty. So this is the only one we really want to have straight. I'm going to do one dot here, and I'm going to start walking the dots right away. Good call. Do you know, I think I might even lighten this up even more to go outwards. We'll see. That's an interesting idea. I've gone dark outwards. That's got me thinking, should I wipe this off and do this lighter? You know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do before this starts to dry. So this is stupid, in case anybody's wondering, because that line was great. And there's no reason to remove the dotted line I just did. But I changed my mind on the color palette a little bit. And since this is already got this rough look, which I'm loving because of the wood sleigh, see that? We are going to add some white to this lavender. We're going to make it even more light. So then our graduation is going to be this super duper light lavender. I need a little more. It's too empty. A little more of you and a little more of you. We'll have this super duper light lilac in the center, probably for that whole center section. Then we'll move on to the original lavender. This needs to be a little lighter. Here's the best way to know. Here's the original lavender. I'm going to put a little drop right beside it. Well, that's much bigger of a drop than I intended. So that we can always keep an eye on the difference between the two colors. Because I do want it to be different. That was the whole point of adding white to this, because I wanted it to be just a little lighter. That's already quite a nice contrast, but we'll do just a bit more white. I know on the camera, it's probably looking very white right now, but in person, it still has that lavender look. You know, I find that happens a lot on with lighting. I have a tendency every once in a while when I get into like different algorithms on TikTok or something, or even here on YouTube, I'll like look up wedding guest dresses. Is so fun because there's these influencers who will just be like, I have a wedding this weekend and I don't know what to wear. Yeah, no one believes you, but go ahead. Let me see all the pretty dresses. And then they bust out a bunch of dresses and you can tell them what you think. I don't ever tell them anything because I just like to look at the dresses. Oh, I got paint on my eraser. Sorry, pal. Apologies. All right, let's go ahead and get this center one done. Now that we've got this really nice light lavender. Why did I bring up the wedding guest dresses? Is because a lot of times people will be trying on things like a butter yellow, which is very popular this year. I'm going to just walk right up. Yeah, that looks great. Definitely the right call to wipe that one away as much as it hurt my feelings. Now I'm going to flip my dotting tool over and we're going to use the 1.2. That's going to be too small in comparison now. No, it's not. No, it's not. We'll use the 1.25 side. We'll see. I'm just going to get a lot of paint. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do 2 of those and then I'm going to walk the dots up. So yeah, that butter yellow is, it's beautiful in person especially, but on the videos, it often comes across as white. And then people lose their ever-loving minds in the comments. You can't wear white to a wedding. They're going to kick you out. That's so disrespectful. I can't believe people wear white to weddings ever. But apparently, if you listen to Am I the A-hole, they do it all the time. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other side because I want to kind of mirror my dots and not get lost. So I'll do that quickly, and then we'll do this line. One more, and we're going to walk the dots off this one. So now I think we're going to decide, am I going to continue this color for this entire section? I think I am. Let me think. Yeah, I think so. This is going to be the only one that we do that with, though. That's okay. One more. I'm going to walk the dots on this one. I see a bubble in my paint. Where's my toothpick? Toothpicks are great for popping bubbles. And also, I mentioned this earlier, but it's very important to make note of this. When you do see bubbles in your dots, please stop what you're doing and go and pop that bubble. Because if you don't, it's going to dry in your work and then it's going to pop at the worst time and you'll have a popped bubble in your dry piece. And then you're going to cry and you're going to be upset. But then you're going to have some chocolate and you'll feel better. That's good. I like it. We're going to stick with that. I'm going to leave that as is. We're going to move on to the next row, which is going to be the original lilac that we lightened up a whole heck of a lot. And then I think we'll darken it slightly, but we can't darken it too much. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and start with the other side, the 2.5, like we did in the center of this section. And I'll just put, I'm going to walk the dots immediately. I've got a lot of paint on this dotting tool right now, so I know I have enough. We'll do the same on this side, just one dot. And then that's great. Can you see the contrast between them? Yeah, you can see that really well. I'm going to flip my dotting tool over and we're going to use that 1.25 side again, but I'm going to try to grab a lot of paint. And I think I'm only going to do one row on each side of this. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that'll look good. We'll do maybe two that are the same size. And now the next one, I'm going to start walking the dots up. And then we'll do like maybe two over here. And on this next one, I'm going to walk the dots down. I see bubbles again. Well, what do you have bubbles for? I didn't stir you at all. You were just in your little bottle. You have some gas. All right. And we'll do the same on the other side. Oh my gosh, that's so close. I hope they don't merge. Well, so far they're not. If you've ever heard me talk about a blob dot is when you've placed two of your dots too close together, and as time goes on, they merge into one blob, and it's never round. That's why it's a problem, because it turns into like an elongated, almost like football shape, which is very noticeable among the beautifully circular dots that you have elsewhere. So it's annoying, and I try to avoid it at most times, but sometimes I'll have a blob dot and it's in a spot that's just not noticeable, and I'll just leave it. So we're going to switch over to the other side and do the same thing. I'm back at that 2.5 millimeter side of my dotting tool, and I'm going to go ahead and walk the dots right away. This is a really big dotting tool, this one. Same on this side. I'm going to start immediately walking the dots curved down. That's good. Now I'm going to flip this over. We'll go back to that 1.25 side. Grab a lot of paint. I'll do this inner side first. Maybe we'll do two. And on the third, I'm going to walk the dots. Well, gosh, I do that all the time. I'm about to put my dotting tool into the wrong paint. Okay, we're going to walk the dots from here. And I'll start on the other side. I think I'll do one more above it, and I'm going to actually start walking my dots right here. One more. And we'll walk the dots from here. Man, I can hear it raining out there, boy. All right. We've got two sections left to do, and then we've got to decide what we're going to do on those lines, if we're going to leave them or dot them. I think I'm going to dot them, but I don't know what. We'll think about it after. Next, we're going to do the next purple. So I'm thinking I'm going to go straight up African violet. We're going to see if that is vibrant enough to be seen against the background. I think it should be. It's very dark. Let's see. This is a fairly small section. If I use this, yeah, I can use this. It'll be two rows. Let's see. So I'm using my 2.5 millimeter side, and we're going to see how this looks. Oh, yeah, you can see that, right? Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do one more dot here, and then I'm going to walk the dots up on this side. And I'll do one down here, and I'm going to walk it immediately because this is a small little slice. And we'll do one more beside it. And we're going to walk the dots up. And I'm going to walk the dots down right away because this is really tight in here. Beautiful. I'm going to do the same on this side. And you know what? I think I'm going to dot. I think I'm going to do those sections lines in light brown. I feel like that'll be a nice contrast. I was going to do white, but then I feel like it's going to compete with that. So maybe like a light brown. And now, of course, you don't need to do that at all if you don't want to. You can leave this as is because it already looks beautiful. But I wanted to dot over those lines. That was always my intention. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Beautiful. All right. So we did make a light brown earlier, but I didn't make much of it because I didn't think I was going to need much of it. So shall we add a little bit more so we can do our lines? I think so. Let's see. What am I going to need? I have a mess of bottles over here right now. So a little bit of this. Now, again, you can stop here if you like. By all means, go for it. I'm going to do a lightened up brown. And I'm debating what I'm going to do in the stem itself. I might do dark brown in the stem. That makes the most sense to me. I think I'll do that last. Let's give this a good stir. Oh, hey, chill. What do we think? I think that's good. I want it to be maybe a little bit darker, actually. Let's put a little more of the cinnamon brown in. We want it to be lighter than the trim, but the trim is hecka dark. Like, hecka dark? Never said that before. I meant to say hella dark, but apparently hell's too much to say around here, so we said hecka dark. So that's the difference. That's a noticeable difference in color. So I think that's fine. We're going to stick with that. It's a slightly different brown than the one that we have on the stem, just a little bit darker. Now, for this trim, I'm going to be using a really small dotting tool. You can use a toothpick for this if you like, or the tip of a pencil or a pen would be good. I'm going to be using my probably my 0.8 millimeter. I'm going to have a quick sip of water and we're going to get started. Water's the best when you're thirsty, boy. Okay. This is the teeniest, tiniest thing. So yeah, I would compare this to a toothpick. Do I want them this small? So I'm basically walking the dots 3 at a time right now. And then I'm refilling and doing it again. Yeah, I kind of like the way that looks. We're going to keep going. Just really small, teeny tiny dots. I'm not overly concerned about sizing now that I'm doing this because they're so small. It's more about the contrast against the line. I don't know if you can even see that, but it looks so cool. Is hecka slightly cooler than hella? I guess so. That's funny. So a reminder, especially if you're a beginner dot painter, if you want your dots to be the same size, you're not going to be doing what we're doing right now. You want to be going back and forth to your paint after every single dot. That's the way you're going to keep your dot sizes consistent. It's literally like bam, 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 like that over and over again. It can be a little frustrating, especially when you're working with small dots like the ones we're doing right now. But again, I'm not concerned about them being identical in size. I'm looking for the contrast and color. So I'm actually walking the dots by several dots around, and it's looking super cool. So I'm loving that. We're going to stick with it. Ooh, doesn't that look cool? Okay. The only downside to this is that I have to shut my pie hole, because if I don't, I end up being a little bit crooked. And I miss the brown line and I end up dotting on the orange section, which I absolutely don't want to do. Oh, I'm so glad I did this. It looked nice with just the line on it, but the dots really take it to the next level for me. Super glad I did this. And I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that stem. I'm thinking I'm just going to darken it up a little bit more. This color I'm using right now, and then I'll use it to fill in the stem a bit too. All right. It goes to show you, though, how just a different size of dot makes such a huge impact. It really does look totally different. Each style looks so different from each other, you know? Like walking the dots is so different from just a straight, same size dot all the way around. It looks totally different. I have to stop dotting at the top there. I've already dotted it off the orange pumpkin. I don't want to accidentally dot over things I've already dotted. Not because it's the end of the world. In most cases, you won't even notice it. But if you are going to dot over something you've already dotted, do so deliberately so that you're completely covering up the under dot, and it's not going to look like you just ran into each other. You know what I mean? I've definitely made mistakes in the past, and a great way to fix them is to dot over top of it. Absolutely. If you have the room and it fits your pattern, it's a great way to cover up an error. As long as you can cover it. If you're not covering it and it just kind of looks like they smashed into each other, I mean, it's not the look I'm going for. But maybe you are. What do I know? I need a little more. So I just dotted onto my paint palette there. And I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes you've already dotted down to a smaller size, but you've run out of paint on your dotting tool and it's getting too small and you kind of want to continue. Add a little bit more paint to your dotting tool and then dot on your palette to get rid of those first few bits of paint that would make your dot too big, so that you get all the way down to the size you're looking to do, and then you bring it back to your project so that you're dotting at the right size, but you've now refreshed your paint. That definitely is useful. Yeah, I would definitely say if you're going to do it this way, definitely if you don't have dotting tools, use toothpicks. This spot would be perfect for a toothpick. I really struggle using toothpicks when I'm using non-traditional tools because I have very large man hands. So those little toothpicks are an insult to me, my family, my heritage, my people, everything. My literal like soul. I am offended by the size of these little toothpicks on my big man hands. Yeah, that looks so cool. All right, we are on the last section. Well, not the last section, but we're on the last pumpkin. And then we'll just do the stem. And I think I might do this little vine thing that was on the original image. See the little vine? I think I might do that one. I don't think I'll do these ones, but I think I might do this one. We'll see. But I think I would do that with my liner brush. I don't want to do that with dots. I feel like it'd be a little confusing with dots and you won't really know what it is. That's always a bit of a struggle when you're dot painting an image rather than a mandala. You need to try to make sure that your dots, how do I explain this? The way your dots work together, your brain needs to read that as an image. If it doesn't, then it's just going to be a confusion of dots. Then you're not really going to see anything from it. So a lot of times, if I'm working with a lot of dots on a project, if I can, I'll introduce that liner brush to put an extra line in somewhere that kind of helps show you what the pattern is so you're not confused by all the dots. Sometimes you just lose the detail because there's so many dots. You think, oh, all these dots, I'm going to have so much detail, and you will. But if you're transferring a complicated image using these little dots, it's going to be really messy and muddy, and you won't get the definition you think you will. So a lot of times it works in your favor to add in lines like this. Because if I had just done these dots without the underlying line that we already drew, you wouldn't see them. They'd get lost in the purple or they'd get lost in the green. But now because we have that smooth line beneath our dots, it's really defined it and you can see it super well. I didn't do down here. Beep, beep, beep. All right, we got one. Oh no, I didn't do it here. Sorry, pal. We got one more. And then we'll do the stem and we'll be done. Lickety split. So I dot paint every other Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join me again, not next Sunday, but the one after, I'm actually going to go visit my daddy-o next Sunday and see what Senor is up to. You know, people talk a lot about how hard it is to be a parent, and I can guarantee that's true. But they don't talk about how hard it is to be a child of an aging parent. It's a challenge, boy, oh boy. All right. We're killing it right now. We're just killing it. So inside this stem now, I'm torn. Do I put dots in the stem or do I leave the stem alone? What do you guys think? I'm going to think on it for a minute because part of me wants to put dots, but then I'm thinking it's going to be a little messy looking and I kind of like it smooth. I might leave it with no dots. Let's go ahead and do this green vine over here. I'm going to use my hunter green. Where did it go? I lost you. All right. We'll start a new one. I thought I had another. Aha. See? I knew you were around here somewhere. Trying to hide from me. Where's my liner brush now? Everybody scattered? Everybody just scattered. They were like, I'm done. Let's go play. Okay. I found my I'm going to wet the brush a little bit just so that I can smooth out the brush part. And we're going to go ahead and grab a little bit of this hunter green. How do they do it? Kind of like a loop. Oh. Could curve it more. Well, now it kind of looks stupid sitting there by itself, though, right? Maybe I'll do another one up here now so that they all mix together. nice. I like it. What do you think? Yippee! I think that looks great. Okay. I have to decide on this stock, and I will decide as I tidy up. Let's tidy up a little bit, and we're going to figure out if we're happy with this or if it needs more. Because this is the number one rule to learn when you are making your own pattern. Now, this isn't quite our own pattern. We're following a stencil, obviously. But what I mean by that is even when you're making a mandala or something, you want to kind of like keep going until something inside of you says, that's enough. How do you know? You won't know. So when you're kind of struggling like this, like right now, I'm kind of like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm not looking at my drawing right now. I'm looking at my desktop. I'm ignoring my drawing. I'm tidying up. And now I'm going to look back on it right now in a minute. And then I'm going to say, does it need to be dotted or does it not? And this is going to be the final decision. What do you think? Do we dot the stem or do we not? Tell me in the comments. What's your opinion? My opinion is I feel like it needs to be dotted because everything else is. It's kind of like left out at the party. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking we are going to go with this one, but I'm going to try to darken it up even more. Just a little bit more. Enough so that it's still lighter than the original brown, but dark enough that it's not identical to the brown we used in the trim. You could use a little more. Okay, that's it. No matter what color you come out now, you're the color. All right, we got there. We got there in the end. I'm going to use my smallest dotting tool for this. So that's my 0.8 millimeter. That's too small, isn't it? Let's use the 1 millimeter, which is just a hair bigger. And I think I'm going to just start at the top and come down. Just, or maybe bottom up now on this side. I'm just kind of putting in a few dots. I'm walking the dots all the way. Okay, are you ready for our last 3 dots? Here we go. These are the last ones. Boom, we're done. Woo-woo! We did it. What do you think? It turned out pretty awesome, didn't it? I'm super pleased. They came out great. We mixed a bazillion custom colors today, and it turned out really lovely. I'm super pleased. I hope you enjoyed making this stacked pumpkin dot painting with me. I make tons of dot painting on this channel, all beginner friendly. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about dot painting, check it out. I've got a ton of replays in this live stream format where you sit through all the merry yippity yap while we make the project together. But I also have a number of 5, 10, or 15-minute tutorials if you don't have a lot of time, you're just looking for a little bit of creative inspiration. So check out my channel. You'll probably find something you're interested in. And if you want to join me again live, I'll be here not next Saturday, but the Saturday after at 3 p.m. because we dot paint every other, oh, did I say Saturday? Nay, not Saturday. Well, I am going to be here on Saturday, but I'm not going to be dot painting. On Saturdays at 2 p.m., we make wreaths, okay? So if you want to make a wreath, join me on Saturday. But if you're looking for another dot painting, it will be Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. Don't worry, I always put up a message on my community post so that you can see and you can come and join me for another fun dot painting adventure. I really enjoyed making this. I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you did, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. Consider telling a friend who might be looking for a new hobby. This is a super cost-effective type of hobby that is really not requiring a whole lot of skill sets to begin. So, and you don't have to buy a bunch of tools either. So it's lots of fun. Definitely consider telling a friend if they're interested. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo.